I have said this before, but if you're against things like assault and battery, disturbance of the peace, people being killed outside the context of self-defense, trespassing, vandalism and property destruction, open defecation, and having your personal space invaded against your will, then you understand why people hate dogs. Many people act like hatred of dogs is completely random and without explanation. In fact, they go much further and assert that those who dislike them are inherently untrustworthy. But it's not difficult to understand why we criticize dog culture or why we have such a deep dislike for dogs themselves. We talk about how terrible they are, because these creatures are, in fact, terrible, and it's got nothing to do with us. It's what dogs themselves do to people. The way they are wired to behave, the way they tend to act. That is the problem, and no one is forcing dogs to be the way they are. And, trained or untrained, these artificial animals cause a number of serious issues for society, both directly and indirectly. I seriously don't want to hear about training for two main reasons. Because for one, there are tons of issues training doesn't fix or even address, and two, it is obvious, based on current trends and a lot of lived experience, that many nutters simply aren't bothering to train their dogs these days anyway. It's immaterial, and the problems we are addressing run much deeper than whether an individual pet has been trained or not. It's a moot point. So seriously, do not bring this up. This is what being anti-dog is like.
I have to stop it. No, I have to. Look at what's happening.
An 8-year-old boy is spending the days before Thanksgiving in the hospital.
Can't resolve a dispute with your neighbors over their barking dog.
This woman chooses to walk away.
A dog that got loose mauled a 5-year-old boy playing in his cousin's backyard.
Oh my God!
There is an African-American man. I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog.
Have you ever seen dogs massacre a fox?
Are you kidding me?
You're on video, dude.
Are you kidding me?
So, this is an older screenshot, but a while ago, I received this baffling comment. The first thing to note is that this dog nutter is telling on himself, right off the bat, by stating that he doesn't believe dog hate videos should be allowed on the internet. Cody here is letting us know that he is against our First Amendment rights. And this is not uncommon from advocates of these terrible creatures. A few months prior to this being posted on my channel, I saw a different nutter openly say that he believes in freedom of speech, except for when it comes to others speaking about dogs in a way he doesn't like. You can't make this stuff up. As for this part where he implies that Hitler is better than I am just because he liked dogs, and despite all the things he's done, well, I'm honestly very confused as to how anyone could have come up with this, even as an attempt to simply troll me. I know the first part of this post is unironic. This dirtbag is actually saying he doesn't believe people should be allowed to speak the truth about dogs online, but sarcastically asking me if I'm saying Hitler was a better person than I am. Well, that's just baffling. No, I am not saying that, but you certainly seem to be implying it. And this is the real point. Liking dogs does not make you a good person. If anything, being a dog person is strongly correlated with being the opposite of that, generally speaking. To spell it out for the nutters who constantly misunderstand to the point where it seems deliberate, no, I am not saying literally every person who's ever owned a dog or interacted with one is a bad person. Reality is obviously way more complicated and way more nuanced than that. So, to restate, liking dogs doesn't make you a good person. By the same token, hating them does not make anyone a bad person. Other things might make someone bad, but hating dogs is not one of them. And seriously, when the hell did liking or hating dogs become a benchmark of moral character? No one says nonsense like this when it comes to how people feel about other animals. Liking crocodiles doesn't make anyone good or bad. Of course, if a person were to insist on owning one, and even going so far as to impose it on others, endangering their lives through their choice to own a crocodile, well, that would make them pretty awful. If you didn't catch that, dog apologists, this is exactly what many dog owners do. Only they do it with dogs, not crocodiles. Look at this comment here. And this is not a rhetorical question. No, but really, why would you automatically distrust someone simply for not liking dogs, or even for hating them? Did you never stop to ask yourself, or them, just why exactly it is that they feel this way? Well, of course not. But I mean, it's not as if it's some great mystery. Listening to people who have legitimate grievances against the widespread ownership of these vermin and their presence in society, that's one way to understand why people feel this way. Another very simple one is to do a web search for why people hate dogs. It's not as if there's some shortage of online posts and videos where people explain all the real reasons they hate dogs. Not to mention, it's not like there aren't tons of dog attack cases coming out. Literally every single last fucking day. There's no excuse to pretend not to understand. Not anymore. I have said this before, but if you're against things like assault and battery, disturbance of the peace, people being killed outside the context of self-defense, trespassing, vandalism and property destruction, open defecation, and having your personal space invaded against your will, then you understand why people hate dogs. Because dogs are themselves directly responsible for all of these, all the time. When I say responsible, I mean that they do those things, and they do those things because they want to and are compelled to by their instincts. It's in their nature. They're the cause of these things. That is what I am saying. I'm not talking about some straw men like putting dogs in jail or fining them. Obviously, those are consequences we should see much more often for dog owners, but dogs that bite even once should absolutely be destroyed. In fact, I'll go further and suggest a proactive solution rather than a reactive one. Why even allow the presence of the very thing we know to be the direct cause of all those things? If dog owners were to do all of these things themselves directly, rather than through the agency of their pet of choice, they would be considered serious crimes and major trespasses. Owning a machine or an animal that's programmed to constantly exhibit behavior we would never tolerate from humans, that doesn't make you any less of an asshole. To add to that, the proxy through which you inflict these things on others is out of place. It should not be allowed to exist. So when I say, blame the dog as well, and not just the owner, this is exactly what I mean. Dog owners are easily among the worst neighbors you can have, particularly the least conscientious ones. I don't say irresponsible because I don't make a distinction between responsible or irresponsible dog owners, because there is no distinction. Now, obviously, those who do what they can to at least minimize the more obvious negative impacts their dogs could cause for others. So, for example, holding these leash gremlins back when they try to randomly lunge at you in public, or picking up their feces. They're doing the bare minimum to be perceived as having an acceptable pet. They're doing what any halfway decent person would do, but no decent person would own a foul creature that randomly lunges at passerby, or which defecates in public areas and needs to be picked up after. And that about summarizes it. A dog owner may be a half-decent person at best, but owning a dog, period, it is socially and environmentally irresponsible. So how can there be such a thing as a responsible dog owner? Sounds like an inherent contradiction to me, an oxymoron. This is especially obvious when we're talking about the monster mauler owners. There is no way to own one of these beasts responsibly. It's not safe for you to be around them, no matter how much food you try to manipulate it with. And it's not cool that you possess one of these violent Frankenstein dogs when you live around other people who never made the choice to be anywhere near one. Hating dogs does not automatically make anyone untrustworthy. And even a cursory examination of dog culture will quickly reveal that those who tend to gravitate towards dog ownership are among the worst humanity has to offer. No one abuses dogs like dog owners themselves, and, more importantly, the owners of these particular pets literally endanger lives, including those of their own children and other family members, as well as neighbors and fellow citizens. Considering how many dog owners are narcissistic misanthropes and terrible neighbors, the saying should honestly be, I don't trust anyone who likes dogs, and I especially don't trust anyone who owns one. Many dog owners openly express their disdain towards other animals that aren't dogs, or, at a minimum, their indifference towards their plight. They legit only care about dogs, and sometimes only their dog and no one else's. Ultimately, many of them only care about themselves and what they think they want, and sometimes not even that, when you dig really deep. After all, why would a person torture themselves by choosing to live with a dog? Some emotionally immature, self-professed dog trainer left a nauseatingly predictable comment on one of my videos a while back, calling me miserable. This, they somehow gleaned from my stance on dogs. My response to them was that if I really wanted to be miserable, I would get a dog. And of course, I don't want to be. In point of fact, dogs are one of the few things that can genuinely make me miserable, and that's even without having to live with them. This uneducated trainer was a pit nutter to boot, and he even told me that I hate myself. No idea where on earth he got that one. I also told him that if I hated myself, I would purchase a pit bull.
Dogs suck. Dogs suck. Dogs really suck. Dogs suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. Cost of pollution, social cost, public cost and private loss, sound pollution, waste pollution, they offer no solution, just a slew of issues. Dogs suck. Dogs suck. Dogs fucking suck. Dogs really suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. Just a slew of issues, just a slew of issues. Just a slew of issues, just a slew of issues, just a slew of issues. It's their intrusion, cost and pollution, social cost, public cost and private loss, sound pollution, waste pollution, they offer no solution, just a slew of issues. Dogs suck. Dogs suck. Dogs fucking suck. Dogs really suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. Dogs suck. Dogs suck. Dogs fucking suck. Dogs really suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. Dogs suck. Dogs suck. Dogs suck. Dogs fucking suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. Dog owners suck.